From our present standpoint, we can already see the seeds of the Luciferic developments, which will likely come to unfold over the course of coming decades. Academic science and the modern medical-industrial complex have recently begun to take a very serious interest in the potential uses of consciousness-altering substances such as psilocybin, MDMA, ketamine, and dimethyltryptamine, among many others. Substances which until very recently were largely considered taboo within academic and clinical cultures. Such substances tend to operate via facilitating the breakdown of the cognitive processes which are normally solidified and stable within the psyche of human beings. Such solidified patterns of human cognition tend to repeat themselves on the basis of their own ontological inertia, and such self-repetitive patterns can come to manifest pathologically as addictive behaviors, or as other forms of stable yet maladaptive patterns of thought, belief, emotion, and behavior. Such rigidified psychical patterns also condition the manner by which the human mind filters out thoughts or feelings which the mind has come to regard as irrelevant. Psychedelic substances tend to function by softening such rigidified patterns and thus act to increase the plasticity of the human psyche. Psychedelic substances can allow us to vividly experience the world in ways that are normally unavailable to us by destabilizing the processes which desensitize us to certain aspects of our experience. Such increased plasticity can also allow the human psyche to more readily recondition itself, to disrupt and discontinue patterns which are maladaptive or pathological. The plasticity facilitated by such substances, however, also brings with it an immense potential for abuse and manipulation, which is often overlooked by those who proselytize the potential benefits of such substances. Rendering a person more psychically plastic can certainly allow a person's psyche to reconcretize in healthier ways, but it can also allow the human psyche to be reconfigured in much more nefarious ways as well. It is a very real possibility, I believe, that psychedelic substances could be used in attempts to further disfigure human minds such that they are more acclimated to their place within the capitalist hell world. As the medical industrial organs of Ahriman come to increasingly employ such substances in efforts to improve the so-called mental health of human beings, what we will begin to see, I suspect, is an increasing tendency by which such substances will be used in conjunction with psychotherapeutic practices to further facilitate the disintegration of the human ego. The human ego is potentially quite problematic when seen from the perspective of Ahrimanic institutional systems. The human ego does not like to be a nameless drone strapped into a cubicle. The human ego does not like to be a faceless stranger in an ocean of faceless strangers. The human ego is aggressively resistant to a life which involves little more than mindlessly going through the motions of its role as a cog within impersonal, soulless institutional machineries. As such, the medical-industrial complex has every reason to use such psychical technologies to further the breakdown of the human ego self and the substitution of the human ego self by the persona self or profile self. Psychedelic clinical practices could therefore synergize with broader tendencies of ego disintegration such that the human psyche comes to be ever more captured by the Luciferic fantasy world, or virtual womb, ever less capable of disentangling itself from the hall of mirrors which has been created through the emergence of the profile self, and ever more alienated from the non-virtual world which the human body remains within. Increasingly, the human psyche will lose its grasp on its own sense of selfhood, and the human psyche will increasingly come to experience reality itself as a maelstrom of simulated illusions, fantasies, and masks beneath which are to be found only more masks ad infinitum.